So, as you guys know, there wasn't any podcast last Friday, but we still wanted to make time to do a quick finish of Franchise Spotlight with the X-Men franchise. Part 4, the finale. Today we're going to be talking about Deadpool 2, Dark Phoenix, and the New Mutants. Mr. Warner?
Yeah.
Thoughts on Deadpool 2? I'll let you go first.
It's fun as hell. It ups the action. It ups the fun of the first movie. I don't think it's quite as good because I feel like it has a lot going on, especially introducing this X-Force. But I think the X-Force was handled very well. And that it's like, like we're gonna get this team together and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be like the X-Men and like the whole joke about like the X-Men being like too misogynistic and they just want like something gender neutral. I thought that was hilarious, of course. And then just them being off.
It's one of the few jokes I've seen that was set up in a marketing campaign.
Yes.
And then they played it out in the movie. That was great.
Yeah, no, it was very funny. It was very well played. And like I said, it was funny having everyone get killed. And then, what's her name? Deadpool's like only surviving X-Force member.
Domino?
Domino, yes. What's the actress's name?
Zazie Beetz.
Zazie Beetz. I thought she was fantastic in that movie.
She's my favorite part of that movie.
Is she really?
Yes.
Wow, very interesting.
Josh Brolin as Cable is very fun, very cool, but Domino is my favorite aspect of the film.
Okay, that's very interesting. I did not know that, actually.
I love the with Cable, I love the dubstep fight that they have. Mm-hmm. When he says something like, is dubstep still around? And he's like... blah, 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 and dubstep's for pussies. And I love dubstep. And they just start fighting.
Dude, the funniest thing about this movie is definitely whenever Cable just starts shooting him on the bus or the train or whatever they are. And then Deadpool does the Origins
scene
thing.
From Origins, yeah.
And then...
he's just getting shot. Like
watching that from... what would that be? Not Portrait, but...
The Side.
Yeah, from the side. And seeing all the blood squirt from his back, I was like, oh man, this is hilarious. And then like whenever they showed his body and he's like has holes in him, I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Way to rip that off.
Different director this time around too, David Leitch, coming over from the John Wick franchise.
Yeah.
Which I think worked well. I think he's a very fun, bombastic, big director. The action worked out very well in this film. You do get a little bit more of the X-Mansion. There's even a brief prequel X-Men cameo of the whole cast, which was funny.
And we get a real Juggernaut.
Yep, you do get a real Juggernaut, also voiced by Ryan Reynolds, which is really funny. And I love Deadpool's reaction when he's like, oh my god, he's Juggernaut. I love that. And also you do get some hint wink winks towards Mr. Sinister, which we didn't mention in X-Men Apocalypse, but you did after the credits of that movie, which they never fully got to do, which is sad. But you kind of see like Essex written on some walls in Deadpool 2. And I like Wade's personal journey he goes through on this movie. I like how in the beginning he's like, man, fuck Logan. They had to go and die. Now if I die, no one's going to give a shit. And it was a really funny setup. And I love the post-credit scenes to this movie. Other than Spider-Man Far From Home, this is my favorite post-credit scenes ever.
Really?
Yes. Love the post-credit scenes in Deadpool 2, especially the one where he shoots Ryan Reynolds in the back of the head.
Like for
So
Green
funny.
Lantern.
Yeah.
Just what does he say? He's trying to correct history, I think is what it is.
So funny.
And he even shows up and shoots himself from Origins.
Yes, which was really funny. And while I like both this and the first film, and I'd probably give them the same grade, I do like the first film slightly more just because I think it's more simplistic, linear story. Worked well for what it was trying to do. I think this one bit off just a little bit more than it could chew, but it was a really entertaining and good movie nonetheless, and I didn't really dislike anything about it. It was just less enjoyable the more overstuffed it was. Yeah. And I normally don't say that about movies, but I felt it in this movie.
Invisible Man was the greatest part of this whole movie.
Oh my god, Brad Pitt. Oh my god.
And his little cameo.
That was great.
That shit was hilarious.
I'm forgetting his name, but the kid... The big chubby boy.
Yeah, he was
really
in Hunt for the Wilder People as well. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Really good actor, and he was so great in the movie. I just love the line when he's like, "You stole that from RoboCop." And Wade's like, RoboCop.
And there was a moment too, like before that whole showdown, whenever they first meet the kid, whenever it gets like launched into an apartment complex, and he like sees like Logan or like X-Men like on the cereal box, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? Like he's everywhere."
Yeah, that was great.
It was funny, but like it's just it's funny that he's just like trying to get a team together to like rival the X-Men and
Oh my god, what's his name? Peter. He's like, "Hi, I'm Peter.
I'm Peter.
You're in." And just and like and then
well, even we saw that in the trailer and we were like, "Oh my god."
And when he travels in time, he's the only one he saves.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, no, I hope we get more of Cable in the future, especially Josh Brolin's Cable. I mean,
That'd
I don't
be
know how
cool.
likely that'll be.
Yeah, we don't know what Disney's plans with Deadpool are yet.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think I don't even want to say it's confirmed, unless it actually is, but Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool, I think, is like
so far that
sure
seems
thing.
to be, like, no matter what they do, that's going to stay. Because even if you reboot Deadpool, you can keep Ryan Reynolds and make a joke out of it. Like, it's the only character that you can keep and keep the jig going.
Exactly.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Dark Phoenix. Boy, what a ride that movie is. Directed by Simon Kinberg, who wrote a lot of the X-Men movies. Did good, mostly.
Producer as well, right?
Yep. At least he takes credit for the movie being bad. Because if you watch interviews with him, he's like, "I'm the director. If you don't like the movie, it's my fault." It's like, you know what? Good on you. But he is really... he'll always be synonymous with me because I don't know if he helped write it. He might have. But he produced Fan Four Stick. And... one of my favorite things ever attached with him.
Oh my god!
Was there was an interview because like rumors had started to come out like when that movie was coming out that it wasn't very good and that it was like a whole thing. Mm-hmm. And they asked him, like something's wrong when someone brings up something isn't wrong and you didn't ask. Mm-hmm. Well, they asked him just like, "Hey, like Fantastic Four's coming out. Are you excited about that?" And he just goes, "Oh, it's not a disaster." And that's the first thing out of his mouth.
That's definitely not what you want to hear about a movie. It's
so funny, but going back to Dark Phoenix, not great. There are some positive aspects of the movie, though. Mm-hmm. The train fight in the end, which was a reshoot, but still it's awesome.
Best part of the whole movie.
The train fight is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Every other action sequence, though, I wasn't a big fan of. You get no sense of spacing. The choreography is weird. It just felt awkward. Mm-hmm. Jessica Chastain is completely wasted. Her character does not need to be in the movie at all. I know it's in the comics, but like that whole part of the story did not need to be there one bit. It could have easily just been Jean Grey discovering, what Charles did and suppressing her memories and that internal conflict actually playing out.
So, like, the actual Dark Phoenix storyline.
Yeah, and also, I thought Sophie Turner did better in this movie than she did in Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. Like, she tried really hard. I don't think she was the issue. You utilized some of the cast okay. Quicksilver, they just got rid of right in the beginning because he would save the whole day if he didn't. Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence, finally got her wish of getting fucking murdered because she didn't want to be there anymore.
She wasn't even makeup. They were just like, "Hey, let's throw some blue paint on you."
And just go die. God, even the costumes suck.
Yeah.
And we got such cool costumes at the end of Apocalypse. It was like the 90s animated costumes, and you're like, yes! And then they get like yellow X. Like, it looked weird.
Yeah.
And
looks like there's no effort as far as that went into.
Yeah. And also, two other positive things I'll say is you finally got to a point where like the X-Men were liked, like the red phone from the U.S. government, like, we need the X-Men. Like, I was like, okay, we finally saw that once, and it was a cool idea. Mm-hmm. And Nicholas Hoult as Beast and Professor X's dynamic in this film, I thought was very well done. Mm-hmm. And you actually see Beast going to Magneto, being like, "Y'all, they killed Raven. You want to go fuck them up?" And like them just literally going to fight it was so interesting. And it was actually like the only part of the movie that had like guts to do that. And Michael Fassbender as Magneto, always great. Nothing bad with him, except that one scene when they're both when him and Jean are trying to prevent the helicopter from going up, and they're both just like.
Yeah, that felt a little clunky.
Yeah, it just wasn't framed well. It wasn't a well done, a well directed sequence. Not very good. Really disappointing.
It's
really
not good, but I think it's worth the watch solely for the train fight scene, and I'll get more into that whenever we talk about the fucking next great movie. But I think this movie is well worth the watch just for that train fight scene because it's so well done, in my opinion.
I disagree. I think that you can look up the train fight on YouTube, not understand any of the context of the movie, and that scene plays out fine.
Okay.
As compared to other action scenes, even X-Men: The Last Stand, I feel like you'd have to watch that whole movie to appreciate that final battle. Mm-hmm. I think you have to watch the whole franchise to appreciate that final battle. But with like the train scene in X-Men, you could just watch that and be like, oh, that was cool and satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it being a part of that story, because it felt tacked on. Like, it felt like a reshoot when you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, cool, though, because you're like, oh, finally a scene that's neat and interesting.
Yeah.
But sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. But I mean, I agree with you. I don't think this movie is great by any means. I don't think it's
good.
I don't think it's the worst movie in the franchise, but I just know that we have different views coming up.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that this movie is worth watching and sitting through solely to get to the end, because I think the end is very well done. I think that, you know, sitting through this mess of a movie, this fucking headache of a movie, is a payoff at the end. And that's really all I want for a movie. Whenever I watch a movie, I always want to walk away with at least one thing that I liked about it, because then I can justify watching it. My great thing about this movie is the third act. Whenever Jean Grey shows up and like unleashes the Phoenix, and like the whole fucking train just like crashes and shit hits the fan, and you know they actually get into it. So like that's definitely what I could justify about watching this movie. But no, I agree with you. Everything else feels clunky, feels awkward, especially like whenever they're trying to like hold the helicopter, and it's like it doesn't feel like there's anything at stake right there.
There are two things I want to bring up in terms of negatives. For like that were like, they weren't just negatives. They were like, oh my god,
like why am I watching this?
The ex-women line from Mystique. Which you forget is there because you want it to not be real.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, with all the women do all the work around here, we should just call it ex-women, and like walked away. Or it was something like that.
What a forced thing. Like, look, I'm all about like, you know, I'm pro go women all the way, especially like in action movies. You can get amazing sequences from this. Some of the greatest action heroes of all time are female characters. But that's not how you do that. Are you serious?
That's just like old men in an office like, how do we
appeal to the
feminism?
women demographic? How do we do the feminism in the movies, guys?
Yeah.
I know. You know how it's called X-Men? Hold on. What if X-women? What do you think? And someone was like, yeah, go do it.
That's how we appeal to the female audience. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You do it in a very what feels natural way, and that does not feel natural at all.
And one of the most unearned things in all of movies, the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters.
This really pissed you off. Well, pissed off a lot of people.
No words. No words for how dumb that was.
What did Jean Grey do for the mutants?
Nothing.
What did Professor X do for the mutants?
He housed them. He brought them home. He made the whole public like identity of mutants a much nicer thing. What did Jean Grey do? She died. She killed one of the X-Men and then died. That's all. And it was annoying. And I thought that was like weird to her character, because I like the sacrifice she made at the end, but like that's not how you honor that.
Yeah.
It was awkward and weird to me. But that's not the most interesting conversation we're about to have, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, this one is.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the New Mutants, the one that finally came out just this year.
More like the old mutants. Because it's supposed to come out 3 years ago, and it just came out, and it's not that New Mutants.
Here's the thing.
Bad joke. Win, lose, or draw.
Here's the thing. I actually really liked that joke. I'm honestly just upset that I didn't come up with it. So thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
Now, I forgot to mention it in my New Mutants review, but I actually have that I may or may not have gypped from the movie theater that I'm back working at now. Keep me employed. But basically, I took a New Mutants poster that has the original 2018 release date on it.
Ooh.
And I'm keeping that shit forever. So, yeah, that's really cool to have. But yes, we disagree vastly on the New Mutants.
Yes.
Let's start on things we agree.
This will be like a minute.
This isn't a great movie.
I wouldn't even say that.
The film struggles mostly in its first act.
Yes.
Some of the dialogue, not great.
I would one up that and say the dialogue through the whole movie is bad, but I see exactly what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. Especially in that first act.
Yes.
With that being said, this is where Ryan and I start to differ. I don't think it's a horrible movie. I actually think it was a perfectly fine, fun X-Men movie. Certainly not the best, but certainly not the worst either. I do think that in the first act, it struggles a lot, especially with it kind of not knowing how to set it up exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid watching the movie that when all the mutants are sitting down, like they're just going to go through and be like, oh, that's my backstory. That's my backstory. I was like, please, God, don't do this. Because it looks like that's what they're going to do, and thankfully they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy many aspects of this film. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy as Magic was fantastic, a perfect casting choice. I think Magic throughout the film, amazing. She's this very hard-edged character, this person who, finds out what gets under your skin and then constantly uses that thing, whatever it is. She's a bully because, she has a lot of her own personal issues. And then in the movie, as they start going through nightmare scenarios, which I think is one of the best parts of the movie, is when those nightmare scenarios start to happen. Hers affects her in such a way that, like, she cries and is scared. And when you see what kind of person she is and how that affected her, then that threat seems more real. Because you're like, oh my God, if it affected that character, it'd be like if like someone made the Punisher cry. You'd be like, what? Like, that's what it kind of felt like. And so, the threats get more realistic, more threatening, if you will. And then you have characters like Cannonball, who, really just feel responsible for his own personal tragedy and his family. I think Cannonball is like the other standout of this film with Magic.
Okay.
And I lived in the Kentucky area for a long time, and he actually sounds like he's from fucking Kentucky. He actually put some effort into the accent, which may seem not like a big deal, but when I listened to him, I was like, oh, actually, that's not a bad accent. He did good.
Mm-hmm.
And, with his personal tragedy, I think his powers are cool anyway. Like, I love the effect of just like his arms going.
Yeah.
It was cool. Sunspot in the film, while I don't think they did it well, I like the idea of how he feels responsible for the death of his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny, I think another thing where the film kind of suffered for me personally is Danny as a lead character was not the right choice. I don't think she should have been chosen as the lead of the film. I think any of the other ones would have made a better lead. Maybe not Sunspot because he's kind of a douchey character.
Of everything you've said, I 100% agree with that statement.
Okay.
She should not have been the lead.
Yes. And not just from a character perspective, but I didn't think the actress did a good job. And that's nothing against like Blue Hunt. Maybe she's gonna be great. I think this is one of her first big movies.
Maybe it was a directing thing.
Maybe. I just didn't think that worked very well. Everything with the Demon Bear, I loved. The script is a bit inconsistent, but with the Demon Bear storyline and the metaphorically what it represents, what it stands for, and the physical them fucking up the Demon Bear, loved it. I loved the entire third act of this film. I love most of the second act of the film. The beginning of the second act was a little rocky. And I think that it really worked on that level, especially, the whole meaning behind her necklace. Like, I actually bought that. I was like, okay, this is very cool. I like where this is going, this mythology it's setting up. And I bought it at the end. And there's an awesome line with Magic where if you've seen the movie, you know the one I'm talking about. And it was like a fuck yeah moment. I loved that. I thought Dr. Reyes was an okay villain. She was more threatening towards the end, and I think that's where she shined a little bit. On Maisie Williams as Wolfsbane, she did a great performance, maybe the second best, right behind Anya Taylor-Joy. And I also thought that it was just a little bit her relationship with Danny in the film. While I didn't buy how they fell in love, once they were together, I think they added a layer to the film. I liked their relationship once they were together. I just didn't like how they came together. And Josh Boone, the person who directed The Fault in Our Stars, you get that awkward teen love, and it feels genuine. Like, it doesn't feel fake. And I thought that was a nice touch to the movie. But while I think the movie really struggled in the beginning, I quite like how it ended. And I do think the script is inconsistent, but I do think there are moments that shine well that you could tell were clearly visioned from the beginning to the end. And it does create continuity problems, because it wouldn't be Fox if it didn't. But yeah, those are kind of my overall thoughts. And, when the weird nightmarish shit starts happening and you get the Demon Bear, I thought that's where the film worked the most. I just think, I'll repeat it again, in the setup of the film is where it really hindered, and if you don't have great setup, you're not going to have a great movie. And while I don't think the movie is great, I do think it's fine and fun and perfectly serviceable.
Okay.
Your turn.
Disagree with everything that you just said. Like I said, I do agree 100% that this lead actress should not have been the lead. If Anya Taylor-Joy was the lead, maybe it'd be a better movie. But I just didn't really buy her performance as the lead.
Yeah, neither did I.
And like I said, maybe it's not anything against her. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a directing thing. Maybe it is a performance thing. Maybe she felt awkward in front of the camera. I don't know. I just I could not get behind her as an audience member.
Yeah.
And that's really what you want from your lead. You want the audience to get behind your lead character.
And just to jump in real quick, a reverse example of this was the movie Alita Battle Angel. I dislike everything in that movie except Alita. Like, I really like that character and I could get behind her. I just didn't like everything else. And I feel the opposite about this movie.
Yeah. Interesting point, but it's the truth. And I just didn't like this movie at all. Like, I just can't justify watching this movie again. Big Demon Bear scary. Oh no. I don't know. I just
Fucking Demon Bear was awesome. It was awesome.
I think that her power of like showing what you're afraid of, I thought that shit was cool. But I didn't really care for the whole nightmare scene, how like each one of them had their own nightmare scene. I thought, while yes, it was terrifying for that character, like Stranger Things guy.
Cannonball.
Yeah, Cannonball. I thought his nightmare scene was terrifying for him, but it's like, I just don't want to see like nightmare scene. It's like, can we like do something with this? And they eventually do with one of the nightmare scenes whenever you're like, oh, is this real? Or is this just like imagination at this point? And I know that that's kind of what they were leading up to, but it just felt like a waste of time to me. And if all of theirs felt real and like was actually like physically interacting with them from the get-go, then I feel like that would pose a bigger threat rather than just like, oh, I'm just imagining things. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I belong in here. Like, that is one thing that drove me nuts about his character. He was like, oh, like I feel responsible for the thing that happened in my past and what I've done. I belong in here. And then like 2 minutes later, he's like, yeah, let's get the hell out of here and like break out and be free. And it's like, well, which one do you want? Like, do you want to break out and be free, or do you want to stay here? Like, I just felt like that he was conflicted in his own feelings. And maybe that's what they were going for. And if it is, I don't think they did it properly.
Okay.
Because I, as an audience member, couldn't tell what side of the fence he was on. The whole love thing that was happening, I just didn't care for it, honestly. It felt almost forced. It's like, hey, don't do this thing you're about to do because I find you kind of cute. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's not the way to do that. Yeah. I don't know. It just
like
felt
I said,
forced.
I didn't buy how they came together.
Yeah.
But once they were together, I think it worked. It's just how they came together was like, that was
and I agree with you that I agree with that too, that like once they were together and that you could tell that there were feelings there, it's like, that feels authentic, you know? It feels real.
Like the actress had chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was definitely the lead actress. I don't know her name, unfortunately, but that was definitely her best moments in the movie, was when she was with Maisie Williams. Yeah. But the magic line that you're referring to, fucking, I thought that was stupid as hell.
It was not stupid.
I thought that was dumb as hell.
It was great. Even Skylar liked the magic line. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought it was dumb. And then, like, there's a line at the end of the movie, and I've talked about it with you, and it felt super awkward. But you're like, well, that's what it is, so that's how they should say it. And I don't want to get into spoilers because this movie did just come out. Yeah. So for a lot of people,
even though we spoiled a lot of it.
Yeah, right. But like, it's like not even a spoiler. It's like a line that Magic fucking comes into frame, and she's like, "Hello, Demon Bear," and it's like, what the fuck did she just say? She says something like, or not "Hello, Demon Bear," but like, "Hey, Demon Bear." That, and it's just like, did she just say that? Like, that feels super awkward. I can't believe I just heard her say that. And I think that while Anya Taylor-Joy is a fantastic actress, I don't think she was good in this movie.
That's where I draw the line, sir. She was the best thing about the movie. Her performance was excellent.
I think she was bad because of the dialogue she was given. Because I think the dialogue through the whole movie felt clunky and felt very awkward and just didn't fit.
That's how I feel in the first act.
Yeah. Yes. But I feel that way for the whole movie, and that's why I think her performance was hindered, as well as everyone else in this movie was hindered because of the dialogue, because they had to deliver these lines when hearing them felt super awkward. You're questioning why they're even saying these things, because it doesn't feel like they should be saying these things. And it's just like, I don't believe what they're saying because it doesn't feel natural. It feels like they're reading from a script. And that's why I think her performance got hindered. Like I said, I think she's a fantastic actress. Yeah. I just think her performance in this was hindered, and she's not good in this movie, just like everyone's not good in this movie because of the dialogue, and I think that hindered it. Now, I think the best performance, if you will, was Cannonball because of that Kentucky Southern accent he had to nail, which sounded authentic. I was like you, I was like, holy shit, because I have family from Kentucky, so I know the Kentucky drawl as well. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy is from Kentucky. Yeah. Like, other than that, I was like, I don't give a shit about the dialogue. I don't care what they're fighting for. Well,
one really bad line at the very end of the movie that I will give you, where I laughed because it was so bad, was at the end, there's a dome that's over the thing, and they're like, oh, if we kill the doctor, it'll kill the dome. They kill the doctor, and so Cannonball takes a rock, and with his powers, he throws it, and nothing happens. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. We know, like, oh, it worked. But instead, it just cuts back to him, and he goes, dome's gone. And I fucking laughed so hard because that was an awful, awful line. And I will give that to you.
Okay, so then what about in the beginning of the movie, whenever she's, like, giving a tour of the place, and she's like, oh, there's no fence. And then they do the thing. And then she, like, Anya Taylor-Joy, like, laughs her ass off. She's like, haha, I guess I should have told you about that. It's like, what the fuck are you even saying? Like, it doesn't feel, like, and I get that that's, like, she's the bully and she's, like, trying to pick on her. But it's just, like, what? Like, it doesn't, like, oh, God, I could not stand the dialogue in this movie. And the whole time I was just, like, cringing because I was like, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like these characters should be saying these things.
And I don't feel it as much of an extent as you did, but there were moments where I did feel that. Not necessarily in that particular sequence, but like when her and Blue Hunt would argue, that's where I was like, this feels like a fake-ass argument. Like, this does not feel like a real argument. And that's where I mostly got like some of the dialogue. But I think some of the dialogue was great. Like, I love the scene when they're doing the lie detector test, and they put magic in there. And he's like, all right, why are you here? She's like, I murdered 18 men, and it doesn't move. And it's just like that whole shit. I was like, holy shit, like that, like, and what a great way to get inside the head of that character, to like show what that character is. And I thought that was a perfectly well executed scene, because it's almost like the Breakfast Club smoking weed scene, except they're just doing the lie detector test.
Yeah, and then they bust out, and there's like a song that happens, and they're all like having fun.
The dance was weird.
I thought that shit was so dumb. I thought that was stupid.
The dance was weird. I'll give you that.
Like, they were just like. And to set before what happened before this whole, like, Breakfast Club dance thing that happens, there's tensions running high during this lie detector scene. Like, she's like, oh, I know you're lying. I don't need a lie detector test to tell you that you're lying. Like, I know you're full of shit. And, like, tensions are running high, and, like, I felt that. And then, like, 30 seconds later, they're just, like, running around, dancing, pushing each other around. It's like, ha, 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 it's so fun being in a mental institution. Ha. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah, right?
No, but
I just, I didn't care for this movie. And like I said about Dark Phoenix, with every movie, I always go in with an open mind, and I always try to take at least one good thing that came out of this movie, come out of any movie. That way I can justify watching it. This movie, cannot think of one thing.
Fascinating. I disagree.
I fucking hate this movie.
But like I said, I don't think it's like an all-time great movie.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, like, did you like it or did you not like it? I liked it. Like, if it, in a world of thumbs up or thumbs down, it's
thumbs up. Okay.
But it's not like it's more like we made it, you know? So it's kind of like that. And that's mostly because I think of the film's fantastic second and third acts.
So question then.
Yes.
Do you think it was worth a 3-year wait?
No. But they could have just shown a blank screen that said the New Mutants, and I'd been like, I finally saw it. You know, like I just kind of wanted to see it really bad.
Yeah.
And you know, and there's a ton of behind the scenes stuff that's really interesting, fascinating, that I don't want to get into at the moment. But yeah. Oh, and poor Mr. Sinister just can't appear on screen, but he can be talked about a lot, especially in this film.
Yeah, the continuity, spontaneity thing is fucking right there in your face in this movie.
Yep, and so that's the entire goddamn X-Men franchise.
So let's rank these movies, and then let's, because there's
hold
a lot
on.
of movies.
Let's grade the ones we just did, and then we'll rank.
I don't want to rank them just yet because there's 20 movies, so I really want to look at them.
Okay, there's okay.
So let's grade these movies,
okay,
and then in the next one let's rank them, whether it's its own separate video or we'll figure it out.
We'll eventually put out our X-Men ranking.
Yeah,
but go ahead and grade the movies we just watched.
Yeah, so Deadpool 2, Deadpool 2. Wow, words are hard, man. Deadpool 2 is 4 stars for me. I really enjoyed that movie. Dark Phoenix is 2.5 stars, and New Mutants is 1.5 stars. And it gets 1 star because I fucking can't even imagine what it takes to make a movie, and the half a star is a pity star.
Damn.
Yeah, so 1.5 for, I think that is the, spoiler alert for my ranking list, I think that's the fucking bottom of the list. But
that's crazy. Honestly, New Mutants is in the middle for me.
Holy shit, dude, that's nuts. Yeah. I cannot wait to hear what's below that.
Yeah. Well, middle-ish, lower middle.
It's the best of the worst.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a horrible movie.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's below it, though. We'll get to that when we rank them.
Deadpool 2, I'm going to give it an A.
Okay.
Dark Phoenix, a C-.
Mm-hmm.
And New Mutants, a B.
Wow.
I like the movie. It's entertaining.
Oh, boy. We need more people to watch this in our group so we can have more people to talk about.
Yeah. Go to the goddamn theater, you guys. Yeah. Or illegally download it at this point. I don't give a shit. Just please watch it so that we can, do it. Yeah. Don't pirate things, kids. That's bad. But yeah, so you want to wait and do another video when we rank them?
Yeah, just because there's so many movies, I don't want to be able to.
It's been a while, yeah. All right, so eventually we'll put out a video where we rank the X-Men movies. But thanks for watching. Probably the only video out this week. Sorry about that. We're gonna be releasing more updates as to why we're getting a little crazy going on around here. But also I've never addressed this before. I'm moving. So for the past few episodes, you probably see boxes and shit everywhere, and you're probably just what the hell is going on?
And it's so funny because every time we talk about movies, to your left, for me, your left shoulder, your right shoulder for you, would be your movie case. And I always look at your movies whenever we talk because I'm just wow, what a fucking great collection.
And it's not even there anymore.
And now I'm just looking at a blank wall. And I remember going through the videos and watching it. One week it's there, and then the next week it's not. And you have all these boxes everywhere. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. So sorry, I never addressed that. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Eventually we'll do our X-Men ranking of all the franchise, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.